Hey guys, and welcome back to part 2 of this discussion. Part 1 is linked below for anyone who missed it, and the full 1 hour video will be out later this week. As always, I've got the guest profiles linked below, and I have my personal opinions typed up in a PDF linked below. Now let's hop back into where we left off last time. So, what could the coalition do to incentivize people to not speedrun? Or maybe not incentivize them to not speedrun, but incentivize them to play whatever way it is that the coalition thinks people should play.
I think Jingle Juvies. Go ahead.
Frenzy is a great example because you're earning these skins in real time, and they're skins that actually are appealing versus a new DB that's got repainted. And the fact that I'm getting them in real time versus, all right, now I got to register here on the website. Now I got to go into the game, meet this weird expectation, and then maybe a month down the line I'll get my skin. Now I'm playing the match, I'm getting my skin. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm having a lot more fun because I'm getting my reward.
Yep. And I was going to point out with the Jingle Juvies, chaps, you probably know the numbers. What was the fortification damage thing? And
oh, where fortifications had like no health, pretty much.
Right. So I mean, like to me that was a challenge, and there should have been. They should continue to go that path, like what you're saying. If you want an incentive, like give us a mode where the only thing we can build out of the box is fences and decoys. Put it on a playlist of 25 waves. You put your normal and insane that they've been doing, to have different audiences, right?
Or just private matches with mutators.
Right. Yep.
The harder you make it for yourself, the more credits you get.
Back. Right. Yeah, exactly. We all want mutators in the harder capacity or the positive. If you just want to goof off with your friends, who doesn't want that super reload back or so mutators would help a lot.
I think would also make them a little more appealing is this is obviously something that would have to be pushed out till 5, but if you're going to have 5 card slots for 50 waves, have 1 card slot unlock each 10 waves, so that way each skill that you're gaining each time is like, all right, what do I got to put them in order so that way I know what I'm going to need based on what kind of enemies I'm getting.
That would
now
be interesting.
I'm getting into the heavier waves.
Yeah, that would be a really good
one. Really into my heavy weapon damage, stuff like that would kind of make it more interesting.
Yeah, I think that'd actually be a really interesting way to play the game.
I don't know if they couldn't even do that that could be a playlist event list, why not? Maybe. You assign them in a certain order anyways in the interface. So that's how they would assign every 10, boom. Whatever you set. That's a good idea, man. I like that. That's good.
So
I can agree with that.
One of the incentives I can think of, I'm kind of curious on your opinion, is so I do like the Horde 1 to 50, but the 1 to 25 thing they introduced is pretty cool. If you look at how long it takes to do a standard run versus a speed run, on a 1 to 50, it might be an hour and a half versus 3 hours. So there's an hour and a half difference for the same reward. On a 1 to 25 playlist, you might be looking at if you're able to speedrun that, I don't know, Grouch, what do you think, just under an hour? Or no, probably 45 minutes?
45 minutes is usually what I hit. And it depends on your difficulty. If we're talking inconceivables, probably an hour.
But 45 minutes versus a non-speed run taking still less than an hour and a half.
Right.
That's so that's a 45-minute gap between those two, not an hour and a half. So reducing
is a long time.
Reducing the gap between how long it takes to do a standard run or a speed run is really, reducing the number of waves in Horde is a really easy way to do that. I wouldn't go any lower than 25, but I do like the 25 system that they have.
I just don't know why they haven't introduced a bounty card yet.
A 25 bounty?
Right. Why not? Why not throw it out there that we can craft that? If people are playing it,
they really need to just patch. There's a 20 bounty, right?
Yeah, we use that all the time, but
they need to patch that and just make that a 25 bounty. There's no point in having a 20 bounty now if you can change it to a 25.
That would go back to your quitter thing.
Yeah.
Because I get that in these runs that we do on the stream, man. We'll do these monster mashes with public, right? And people quit at 20 because they hit the bounty card.
Yeah, so if they change it to 25, what
And
actually
the only incentive to stay at the end
It's
to
those last
25
5.
is that card you get, right? You get
Yeah.
a drop. You get a drop.
Which that's a
So-
great incentive that they added to stop people from quitting is
Right.
those
I
reward
just wish
drops.
that drop was guaranteed to be something higher.
Yeah.
You know, just whether it be a an epic, at least like guarantee a horde epic for some of these new players. I mean, the game's on Xbox Game Pass at this point, so people coming in that are new to horde, they need to be able to move these cards up, and that would be a guarantee. You stay to 25 or you stay to 50. I think 50 should drop too. I really
Yeah.
do. Like if you're doubling
I
up your
wish
waves,
they
then
drop in private already.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they should drop in private. That's ridiculous that they don't. It's we're putting the waves in. It's on my wave. It's on my war journal. I put the waves in.
Yep.
Just because I didn't play it publicly, I should earn those things still. So I agree.
So are there any other things you guys can think of ways to provide incentive to not speedrun? Like, allow it to still be there. If people find enjoyment in speedrunning, like, I know I would still try to find some stuff to speedrun just because I would enjoy trying to figure out how I can, quote-unquote, break the game.
Right.
But to provide incentive for those people out there who are only doing it for the credits, what kind of incentive? What other incentives could we give to not speedrun?
you pretty much covered most of the points that I would have brought up, because having the cards changed from 20 to 25 is a good option. Having more incentives at end of the 25, you get something that's not just a standard green or blue card to help for new people, but we have better incentive. And honestly, I can't really come up with anything else new because both you and Grouch came up with pretty much everything that I would have brought up.
The only other thing I can think of really is like the scoring system. If your credits is based off the scoring system and they base the scoring system around something that makes you score lower for doing speedruns.
I mean, one of the things that I hate to say, nerf your credit ratio based on the time it took, because obviously if you're doing just a standard run, you're not going to finish an Iron Man Inconceivable run in less than an hour and a half. So if it's under an hour and a half, you could say, all right, the XP ratio is just going to be standard. But if you're doing over that ratio, then clearly you're likely doing a standard run, and you're going to receive maybe like a 1.2% rate that someone that did the run in under an hour and a half did. And I guess the incentive there would be, most of the people doing speedruns are thinking, how many can I do within a certain time? So they're not wanting to prolong that just for that extra bit of credits, versus somebody that's, all right, we can get more credits if we just keep speedrunning. We're not going to get that extra incentive, but we're going to get more matches done. So I guess that's a way that they could counter it, but
having some sort of cap would be an interesting way to solve it. I know that would anger a lot of people, but they got smart people at the Coalition. They could probably figure out a way to put some sort of soft cap on there based on time.
And then you get into the situation though, what's considered time, what's considered a speed run.
Yeah.
Like, so if I do an inconceivable run, like I have setups where I don't consider them speed runs, but I still do an inconceivable 50 waves in under, let's say 85 minutes.
Yeah.
Is that speed run? Or does the speed run count?
No, I'd say I could do an inconceivable in 90 minutes, so.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the right team, if you're just doing it with a whole bunch of strangers, you may take longer, but I guess it's not reasonable, but I mean, yeah, exactly. Then you have to really define what it is a speed run.
Right, and that becomes a tough thing, because then you start limiting people on tools, and because I mean everybody turns like we said, Sentry's become the overpowered tool. And at some point, it's very noticeable. Like if you're completing, in my opinion, if you're completing every wave in the match in under a minute, you're probably speed running, right?
Probably.
that to me is data that they definitely have. I mean, there's
Or if
waves
you
on.
complete multiple waves in a row in less than 10 seconds,
Right.
you're probably.
I always made a joke on the stream, man, because we would get the waiting for players thing, and anytime we would ever do it, it would be like we were speed running, and like we would be clearing waves so quickly, and then we'd have to sit there for like 2 minutes while the waiting for players thing just spin on the screen. I'm like, come on. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, like it's fast.
Speaking of that, waiting for
Like
players,
anything under a
doing
minute.
the Monster Mash or Jingle Juvies, I'm going crazy waiting for players on that first 10 wave.
Right.
I think they fixed that by now, but I'm not sure if they fixed it like relatively as in. I know they fixed it yesterday, where they fixed the drop rate of it, because those Midnight Omen skins were not dropping 100% of the time.
Yeah.
But now they fixed it so it is on any difficulty from Frenzy. Yeah, I keep confusing Monster Mash with Frenzy because when I got my first skin it was on Monster Mash, but apparently they changed it to Frenzy. But
back to your incentives, just real quick. I mean, the only other thing I can think of is, like I said, you kind of take those ideas that they did in Jingle Juvie, but I think the incentives have to be some type of exclusive point, like something that you only earn because you do this event at that time, and if you miss the opportunity, you miss the opportunity, and have it go for a month so everybody gets a fair shake at it. Whether you work during the weekdays, weekends, whatever it may be. But like, and then bring in ideas.
We need a Horde character,
like
a Horde rewarded character already. Characters seem to be
right.
drive. I mean, weapon skins are cool, but people go for the characters. I would think.
Oh yeah.
That's the incentive is to get the character before you get the skins.
Yeah, like who wouldn't want to have Barrack back, or like something.
Yeah.
Like just something that's exclusive. You have to do it. And here's your like they took away the barrier health. So why not, take away like, okay, you can't build sentries from the box at all.
Yeah. I think going forward in Gears 5 having some sort of mutators where there's fortification limiting mutators in Horde where, hey, you can choose to play this private match where you turn off fortifications. And if you do that, you will get double credits or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, and that's an incentive too. I mean, because we all know the pack system's not going anywhere. It's just the future of games in general, right? So, yeah. I mean, if you get through this playlist that we've come up with, where you don't have sentries being built, and and you only can play it on Insane or Inconceivable, like as a public choice, you have to struggle through the highest difficulties, and at the end you have double credits or a character waiting for you. Yeah. That's going to keep people around. That's going to keep people playing until the next game or the next event, So.
Yeah. Well, also, if you just have something that clearly says complete wave 50 guarantees a character in bold on that playlist when you select it, that's going to go a whole lot more ways. And the message of the day is great, but unfortunately some people jumping in are just like, I don't care what you're telling me, I just want to play right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so a little note like that can go a long ways.
Yeah, on the topic of the sentence, I remember Gears of War 3 had a thing where if you played X amount of Horde, you would have got Griffin out of it, because originally he was locked by a medal.
Yep.
For Gears of War 3, where you had to get X amount of things in Horde, and you would have got him. I know before that they had like a Facebook thing for Gears of War 2, where you can get him in 3, but that was a really good incentive, because it was a really good character, not a reskin, not a recolor, a genuine unique character that was only unlockable by that way.
Yeah. So we started out talking about quit penalties a little bit, or not quit penalties, but quitting, and then we moved into speedruns. Let's get back to we'll finish up stuff talking about quitting again.
Okay.
So I mentioned quit penalties. What are your thoughts on those to begin with? Quit penalties in Horde.
Need to be harsher.
Quit penalties for a timeout, like they do now for versus.
Or any type of quit penalties. Do you guys think that they should be implemented?
Yes.
I don't think they can put them in there until they solve the issue of why people are quitting, which is, like we said, some of the core issues of the lobby system not being able to actually have a voice on it versus just here's the map. Um, like you said, incentives. So I mean, if people have no incentive, they're not going to be. They're just here to do 20 waves, and they're going to turn off their Xbox. A match penalty or a, um, a timeout's not going to mean anything to them. So
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, there should be one, but the problem, like Pope just said, is trying to figure out why people keep quitting over and over. And just punishing them straight out wouldn't work until that problem is fixed. So when after the problem is fixed and people are just quitting, then there's a penalty. But until then, not really. They shouldn't put one until that's fixed.
Yeah, I mean, when you do a root cause analysis on a problem and you figure out what those root causes are, or when you have a problem, you want to do that root cause analysis, figure out what those are so you can try to fix that. You don't want to start punishing people for quitting. You want to figure out why they're quitting and discourage that from its root.
Right. And I think, I mean, a lot of that comes back to, once again, your play style. And like Pope touched back on, like, you got your map selection. We should have that. There's no reason why we shouldn't have a way to have 3 maps to choose from. People vote. And have a way, once again, to quit the lobby if you don't want to be. You want to be engineer, somebody's already engineer, and you switch. You can leave before the timer runs out. Somebody else comes in their place.
Yep.
And I did like Pope's idea about maybe being able to resurrect the team, even if you go down from 5 to 4. But if one of those people are your engineer, being able to not lose your bounty card, but to slide to a different class with whatever you may have it loaded out on already interface, right? But
Yeah.
slide over to engineer and take over as Engie, or slide over to scout if you lose your scout, But,
Yeah.
I
mean,
would like to.
I think
Why not
Overrun
have
has
a
that.
playlist where you could bring somebody in too? Like, why can't we have a option on the menu where you can join Horde matches in progress?
I think Overrun had something similar to that, but not the joining in progress, but the whole switching on a dime.
Yeah,
I know
Overrun and Survival in Judgment both. It was
Right.
whenever you died, you got to respawn as whatever class you chose.
Yeah, that was a really. I don't know. Anything out of Judgment, I'll say that Overrun was pretty much the best thing that came
Oh,
out of it.
definitely.
Awesome.
And I hope for 5 to bring that back.
That class
That was really
system
the
could
one.
be sort of abused though if you can change it as frequently as you want. Doing
Right.
doing a every 10 wave type thing that
What if it's based on you lost a player?
Yeah,
Like it says, oh, you lost a player. Does somebody want to switch? Or give somebody the opportunity at that point to readjust the team.
yeah, that
You
I think that would be a nice thing to have.
Right.
It's too late for Gears 4 as far as solving a lot of these problems. They've already said it's too much work to go in and change the UI and change some of their back-end systems to allow for this stuff. But in the future, I think we hit some of the big ones. It's map voting and being able to quit in the lobby. Those are definitely, I'd say, the 2 biggest things right now that are going to. I mean, it's funny because being able to quit in the lobby, you think, oh, well, you're trying to prevent quitting. Why are you allowing them to quit? But it's going to make for, once you load into a match, there'll be a lot less quitters.
What's your you did touch base on like people's play styles too with quitting. I think that does come into play.
Yeah, so that's like, well, so speedrunning's one of those, but you've got, if you're the scout and the soldier or the heavy doesn't kill themselves at the beginning of the match, you're like, oh, these guys don't know what they're doing, they're not giving me the extra money, I'm gonna quit.
Right.
Or you have that new player who's running around collecting all the energy when he's not a scout. It's like,
Right.
oh, well, this sucks, I'm gonna quit. And training.
Right.
Training
I was just
sessions
gonna
to-
say, I mean, I don't want to touch base on things you already covered on the
Yeah.
other panel, but that's where that comes down to, in my opinion, too, is like Pete Razor Edge talked about it a lot. Either training mode or the training grounds. Like you got to have a training mode for this game, especially when you introduce things like classes and class cards, and everybody having a specific role. Like there needs to be training, and I think that would help prevent a lot of quitting as well. Like I think that would just educate people before they get into the game.
You could even do just like one class unlocks another. So I mean, there would be an evolution to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't give
so
players the free
uh,
option of jumping in and being like, "Oh, well, I like snipers, so that's where I want to start."
Right.
But I mean, at least it kind of weaves them into playing each one and seeing why you're playing that one.
Right.
So something I just thought of is occasionally you're gonna run into a troll player online who's just trying to dick around, right?
Right.
What if there was this could be highly abused, I think, but what if there's like a vote to timeout button where like if some guy's being a dick online, if like 3 out of the 5 people all vote and agree like, hey, this guy's running around doing something he's not supposed to, you put him in a 30-second timeout where he pretty much can't do anything. Or
Yeah. Yeah, I mean to me that's perfect. Like we had a situation this was yesterday, and once again I play on whatever anybody wants to play on. You know, if you want to come in and play normal, you've never played, you know, we'll play it. You know, that's fine. And so we go into normal with 3 of us from the stream and 2 people randoms, right? These 2 randoms are doing the most nonsense stuff you would ever believe, right? And we were almost to the point, one of them definitely, we were like, wouldn't it be nice to be able to just like kick that one person and this would go so much smoother and so much quicker.
I feel it could be abused. The system could be abused, but it definitely has potential to help people as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think having the game chat, like when you see people type in the game chat and it shows up on the screen, that's helped a lot. We actually use that a lot.
I have a keyboard hooked up to my Xbox right now because it is really nice.
Hey, you know, like you're not the scout. You know, if you let the scout pick that up, we send messages like that every once in a while through. You know, like, and it does help. It does seem to, you know, help out. But that all comes down to, once again, if they would have just had a training grounds for each class, and you know, the stuff I think would not be happening as much, and people wouldn't quit as much. So for sure. Like, what's your opinion? Like, if you're the engineer, do you feel like the engineer should dictate where the fabricator goes?
Yes.
Personally, yeah, but I also play as the engineer, so I don't know how valid my opinion is
my
there.
favorite class, so I'm like, yeah, because I got a base, so I should get to pick where it's gonna be.
So
everybody's got to play to my base. It's like
the hard thing though is think about if the 4 of us loaded in and none of us were the engineer and our 5th random was the engineer, but we all had a strat like, okay, we know what we're doing, we have a good strat set up, and then the engineer goes and places the fabricator like some random spot.
Mm-hmm. That stuff happens. Like, you know, like, and it's just like I've had situations where, you know, I'm a believer that if somebody picks engineer, I let them play engineer. You know, like if they take the fab wherever they're gonna, I'm just gonna swing with it, right? Like I'm just gonna go with it, and maybe throw a few tips, maybe help them move with things like, hey, you know, you can move this just a tad further.
Yeah,
but
I would give it 10 waves.
Up the fab and moved it, and the engineer, like I've moved it not even like just enough, like we were talking about for that safe spot. It was on impact. You don't have to take it all the way to the spawn, right? It can come to the first post. Yeah. You know, you got plenty of room to bring it up. So I brought it up for him just to help out. He was gone. He quit. He's gone. He's out of there. You know, like I touched his fabricator. He was out of there. You know, but
what I've done in public Horde, I don't play it that much, but what I have done a few times, I also do the same thing in Fortnite. If someone's building a weird base, is if they're building in Fortnite or if they're the engineer in Gears, I let them do their thing, and if it's something I haven't seen before, maybe it works out well. If it doesn't, I let them struggle for a little bit, and then I'm like, all right, this obviously isn't working. Let's fix this.
Right.
So I let them struggle and see why what they did is wrong, and then I'll try to help.
Yeah, because it's like if you do it too early, in my opinion, they're gone.
Yeah.
Like if you start moving their forts without them wanting you to move their forts, they're going to quit. You know.
If they don't even have mics, or if they're not at least acknowledging that you're saying something, because it's a between. Oh, sorry. It's a mix between someone who doesn't have a mic but can clearly hear what you and your other teammates, if they have mics, are saying, and someone who doesn't have a mic but also can't hear you. So that also brings up a point because sometimes someone might be new, but it can, in the first situation, can hear you but doesn't have a mic. They could just take up some of your suggestions and probably make themselves better over it. But in the second situation, it's just a nightmare for pretty much anybody.
Yeah.
The team communication is always like the thing I always want people to have mics, because I always have this thing where if you can afford Gears of War 4 and you can afford the platform that you're playing it on, either Xbox or PC, then you can at least afford a mic, at least a $20 mic, if anything.
Microsoft could give them that $20 mic for how much they charge for that system, right?
Yeah.
So they used to. So
They used to.
right, but that's that's a different story.
Yep.
What was I was gonna say, what were any other topics on the end there?
Yeah, so I was gonna say, so we started off on quitters, moved to speedruns, and what our views on those are, and then we came back to quit penalties and just quitting in general and how to prevent people or discourage people from quitting. Those were really the main topics I was looking to cover today. I don't know if you guys had anything else you wanted to bring up real quick.
Mainly just I think I want to touch base just a little bit on the fact that I know Pete mentioned this a little bit too, but this is Gears 4. It's the beginning of something new. It's a new company. It's
Yep.
I have complete faith that they are listening. They may not respond the way we want them to or as soon as we want them to, but I do have faith that Gears 5 is going to be better. And I do feel like some of the things you guys touch on, the enemy variety, things like that, I think is just going to be huge in 5. Like, it's just, if we look back at the scale of Gears 1, 2, and 3, each game got bigger and more massive and more enemy variants came in. That's just the way this works, is we're starting over in a way. So, like,
Yep.
Gears 5, I have high hopes for Gears 5. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have hope for 5 as well, because I think 5 might fix most of the issues of 4. That, like the chord wise, campaign wise, because a lot of stuff was omitted out of the campaign, and hopefully this be a better game overall. Because I hope it doesn't pull a Halo 5 where it was like pretty much just split at this point.
Yeah.
Yep, we don't need that. We need the community coming together.
Yep, and that's what we're doing this for, is, talk. Liam said he watched the last, or I don't know if he watched it. He said he was going to watch the last one, so
Right.
hopefully Coalition sees some of these, and hopefully we get some good out of this.
Yep, I hope so
Once
too.
I see this, I want them to remember we need a lore pack with the release of the comics. Now it's like making me go through some of the older comics and items like that. We need Bytalk. We need a lore pack. We need some of the saying in there.
We'll talk to Parasidian about getting a lore pack.
All of that. We need all of it.
Yep.
Let's see.
I
So
want more campaign DLC. All of that stuff. That's what we need.
Yep.
Yep.
And with that, I think it's going to wrap it up for all the topics for this panel. We're going to go around the room just one last time, let people know where they can find you on social media. So, Grouch, we'll start with you again.
Grouch on Couch. You can find me on Twitter at Grouch_on_Couch, and on Xbox Grouch on Couch, and Twitch Grouch on Couch. So main sources to hit me up on Twitch. I stream 5 days a week, sometimes 6, usually about 7 hours a day. I'm on the East Coast. Twitch is the best place to find me.
All right. Pope.
Pretty much just on Twitter or the Gears forums, Pope Adrian 37. You may hear me talking mostly Gears of War, talk some heavy metal and Buckethead. That's pretty much my main stuff right there. So,
All right.
thanks for having me.
Yep. And lastly, we'll go to Neff.
My Twitter would be Cold of Fane. I barely use it, but I'm planning to use it more in the future as I'm starting to get into the stuff of YouTube. Considering how YouTube is pretty much just a double-edged sword at this point, but I decided to start posting content there next week, and I'm mainly on the Gears of War official Discord and the PC one.
Okay.
Since I think most people will know me from there. But it was great, pretty much great having me on this panel.
Yep. Yeah, thanks again for joining me, guys. It's always a blast talking to people from the community.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Yeah, it's nice. And for the viewers out there, these panels are just getting started. Hopefully you guys are enjoying them. And if you want to get involved in a future video, just let me know and I'll add you to the list. And before each panel, I'm going to send out some tweets saying, hey, I'm looking for people who fit this certain criteria. And hey, I mean, that's how I got all three of you guys, was from putting out a tweet like that and having someone respond.
Right.
So
I look forward to it, man.
thanks again, everyone, for watching, and we'll catch you next time.